Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Saren.
And I'm Ray.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics. Gimme, gimme.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
I'm Kelly Thompson, and you're listening to Capes and Lunatics.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Capes and Lunatics. First part of our two-part Black Widow special. This time we're covering the comics. Next week will be our movie review. But
hey Philip, stop trying to make the Capes and Lunatics happen. It's not gonna happen.
What? We're not in Australia. Anyway, I am the Phil. Joining me as always from his cell in New Jersey, it is
Charlie, the Professor Essa,
and the woman from her private arcade plotting murders as we speak today.
Hey y'all, it's Lil Hellfire.
All parody and humor. So yes, we're going to talk the Black Widow, the comics, the history. But first of all, we're recording this on Thursday. Happy birthday, Master Doom, Robert Southgate.
A cake full of wishes to him.
Won't call out his age, but I know how many years older than me he is, so happy birthday, Robert.
Go back and look at my history. Why did your eye drift over to my box?
You may know him from such hits as...
And you will find out I am right so much more often than I'm wrong. Please kick me in the pants.
Birthday
Nice.
Picks. All right, so where would we like to... Should we start with Mr. Charlie Esser, because weren't you like reading the early?
I was working on the early stuff. The first appearance, Tales of Suspense, number 52. The Crimson Dynamo strikes again, and none but Iron Man can stop him.
I thought you said
introducing the gorgeous new menace of the Black Widow. She's not a redhead yet, interestingly enough.
I thought you said 57 you were reading.
Well, no, that's actually Hawkeye's first appearance.
Well, true.
But 52 is her first appearance. I thought, I had to go back because I was doing because I actually thought we were doing this at 8, not 9:15, so I actually had more time to do research. So, yes, but there's that suspenseful opening scene, and it's a pretty good story. I'm going to be honest with you. Ivan Vanko, I believe it's Ivan Vanko. I actually have to double check this because when I come back to another later Ivan, I wonder if that's the same Ivan. But that's the one in The Champions, which is when Black Widow gets on a superhero team with Hercules.
Oh, I read the last issue today. Yes.
Yes, I did my research today. I was looking for where it goes. And Ivan, he has defected. He's working with Tony Stark. Ivan's trying to perfect his laser ray weapon. And the Russians aren't too happy about that, so they send the Black Widow. Ding, ding, ding. Actually, she is a redhead in that scene. That's interesting. So she is a natural redhead, but just like in the movies, she dyes her hair when she has to go undercover.
I mean, it was the 60s, but what did everyone think of that first costume, like that full body fishnet or whatever what that whole thing was?
Oh, right now
Tell me you want to be Black Canary without being Black Canary.
Yeah, right now she's still wearing dresses. She's not. She's not costumed yet. She doesn't get that.
Yeah, the Russians don't give that to her for at least a couple issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when she comes back and they do the anti-gravity ray. But I was actually very fascinated by this character, Boris, who just, like, throws things around.
Tell me you want to write a James Bond comic book without telling me you want to write a James Bond comic book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a cartoon. Get it? Boris and Natasha.
Yeah. And, that is an interesting point. And I don't know if that was intentional. Oh, and then there's all these great interstitials. If you ever read these old 60s comics, there's like these little stories that they have going on, the print stories. Each one has a Tale of the Watcher at the end. They're all really good. But basically, in her first appearance, she seduces Tony Stark. Well, Boris steals Ivan and the laser ray. Ivan, of course, commits suicide by blowing everybody up at the end to save the day by using the untested laser weapon. It gets sad, but the problem for Black Widow is she just doesn't do that much aside from being sexy. That is her power.
It was the 60s, and it's spy and espionage. That's
but for what it's worth, it works. It's like Howard Stark or Tony Stark is a guy that absolutely, completely is like, well, Miss Natasha.
Oh yeah, that's a weapon of mass destruction for Tony Stark, sending a hot female in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so I have to get out of this because now it's into other stories, and yeah. But it's interesting when she returns because the entire premise of that one was, oh yeah, here we go. This is the next one. Issue 53, the Black Widow returns when she's trying to steal the anti-gravity ray that Tony Stark has created. And in this one, she is like, oh, I didn't... And see, here's where she's a brunette. Here's where she's a brunette again. She's like, oh, totally didn't know my brother Boris was secretly a spy. I was totally misunderstood. And Tony's like, oh, okay, well, great. Let's all get back together then. Because Tony is captain of bad decisions. Even welcomes her back, and Pepper sees through it, of course. This is interesting because this is when they're transitioning Pepper from being the dowdy secretary to being the hot secretary.
All she had to do was take her glasses off and let her hair down.
Yeah, well, she also got rid of the freckles.
Hollywood makeover, yeah.
Yeah, in this one, she steals the anti-gravity device that Tony Stark basically creates by, I'm just going to randomly stick the transistors in because it's not working any other ways. I'm just going to blindly do it. And it works. Because he just left it up to chance. Just randomly did it.
That Stan Lee signs like we were talking to Avengers #1 over on Super Connectivity, it's just, the trans flying, I'll switch to my transistors,
Yes, the transistors, they were like radiation. They can do anything.
Poor Stan.
The man wasn't a professional scientist. He was and apparently it's really easy if you're a hot lady to get a tour of Tony Stark's secret weapons lab in Flushing, Queens.
Where's Nanny Fine when you need her?
Yeah, but it's fascinating. It's interesting going through these old stories. When you get to the Tales of the Watcher, I forget which one the Tale of the Watcher is. I actually thought the idea that it was Uatu's father who convinced everyone to give their super technology to other primitive races. I thought that was a retcon in later Fantastic Fours. And actually, no, that was in Tales of Suspense when they do it.
Prime directive.
Yeah. But it is interesting, especially just the fact that, the Black Widow, she is clearly a villain, but Tony Stark never figures it out. Yeah, no, she doesn't get her superpowers. She doesn't get the super suit yet. I don't know when she does. I don't even think she gets it when she teams up with Hawkeye, quite frankly.
Yeah, not the first time, I think.
The Hawkeye story, she's very much not in it. Yeah, there it is, 57. That is Hawkeye's first appearance. And what I love about it is, man, Hawkeye is just so petty. And it is really kind of sad because he is just totally a villain the whole time. Like he is Booster Gold before Booster Gold. And
oh my.
Yeah, because he is totally like, oh yeah, I could totally do it. Now this is interesting because this is where we first get this whole dynamic with Tony and Pepper, where Happy is asking Tony to please ask Pepper out for him, but Pepper's like, I would absolutely love to go on a date with you, and poor Happy gets pushed to the side. And now Tony didn't really, even though he goes through this whole thing, is, I'd love to be with a woman like Pepper, but the fact of the matter is I can't. Being Iron Man is too dangerous. But they go to the carnival. We get the whole scene. Tony Stark saves the Tilt-A-Whirl, and the world's greatest marksman is mad. So he goes and he becomes a superhero for purely venial reasons. And he is in his little basement lab. Because apparently in this one he works out of Coney Island. So that's the original origin of Hawkeye, is he is a permanent fixture at the Coney Island amusements. He wasn't in a traveling circus at this point in his life, even though I think they retcon that several times. He designs his original arrows and, does the whole thing where, there's the text story. He tries not to murder the poor thief, and that just causes the thief to get away. See, unlike Green Arrow, Hawkeye doesn't want to just murder people randomly. Hawkeye's trying to be a hero.
That's TV show Ali only anyway.
I know. But that's how he gets, the classic scene. He's mistaken for a robber because he picked up the bag of jewels. And I don't know how this plan worked, but Black Widow's just right there. Like, hey, guy in purple, jump in my car.
Whoa, speaking of stealing the family jewels.
Yeah, and see, and here we see she's a brunette again because she's undercover. Nope, that's my kids. There it is. She's a brunette again.
Ooh la la. You're muted somehow, Charlie Esser. You're muted, Charlie. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So apparently the Russians set her up in Long Island at a mansion with I don't know, I get maybe Boris was a science teacher. She says, oh yeah, the lab in the basement that belongs
Russian
to...
spies just love to pretend to be teachers, don't they, Phil?
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to tell you this. Russians are a highly educated people during the Soviet Union. If you had a talent for it, you got lots of education and military service. It was a very constructed system. Now, they had problems when, people didn't accept certain scientific ideas. Like, for example, it was once illegal to teach genetics in Russia.
Whoa.
So when people did work in genetics, they had to hide it under into business.
Just like here with stem cells. Neat.
Yeah, well, stem cells isn't genetics. This was actually, well, anyway, it's a whole thing. But yeah, they did a lot of science denialism in Russia too, but everybody does science denialism because if you're anybody with power in a situation, the last thing you want is new knowledge. That upsets that power. But in this one, to thwart Tony Stark for taking her to Coney Island, she does go out to a party with Happy. They go to a drive-in movie, and yeah. But now Hawkeye, with his special new Russian science-enhanced arrows, easily defeats Iron Man, at least temporarily. It does the whole rusting arrows bit. That was one of his. That's an iconic scene. Back before Iron Man said, hey, maybe having a highly reactive metal as the base of my powers is not good, especially when everyone's got magnets now and things like that. So fortunately, he had a spare Iron Man outfit, so that's the first time where we see always has a backup. This one's just in a little box, And yeah, it's good. Obviously, they defeat Hawkeye. In this one, he blows up the car that Hawkeye was trying to escape in. Hawkeye tries to get him. Hawkeye, he puts him in the iron cables, but he breaks out. He falls in the water, and then Iron Man saves him, but he's unconscious. The Black Widow comes up in her boat, but of course Hawkeye was just playing possum, as you do, and as his back is turned, he grabbed his super explosive arrow, shoots it at Tony Stark, but his armor is too powerful and it deflects the explosion. But then, oh no! The force of the explosion knocks out Natasha. No!
Is she wearing a fur coat?
Yeah, she's in a fur. It was the 60s, man. You weren't properly dressed as a femme fatale without a fur coat. And also, she's a Russian, so she always has to have her furs. Then we see, that was before global warming. You got to remember too. So it still got cold on Earth. But Hawkeye saves her, and of course, Iron Man's about to give chase in the fog, but then, oh no, he forgot he's right by LaGuardia. And so he can't fly near LaGuardia. And then that is our final scene of him walking lonely down the beach outside of his munitions plant as the Lonely Man theme plays.
And that's why you always fly into JFK.
Yeah, well, actually, you should fly into Newark. Newark
I do not advise that. Never fly into Newark. No offense.
It's.
The airport, the city? No.
No, Newark is the best airport in the region. Anyone who flies regularly knows that Newark it's the easiest to get into, the easiest to get out of. It is the best airport in the region.
So it's the slut. It's the slut of the tri-state area. Okay.
Yeah, well, you can say what you will, my friend, but and then the other book I read was The Champions, which I didn't get to finish. I read the first one, and that was exciting because you see,
yeah, wasn't it like Zeus? And wasn't there some of the gods that didn't have to do with stuff with Hercules?
Yeah, well, so Hercules, he's on the lecture circuit. As you do. And he's at UCLA where, as luck would have it, Bobby and Warren Worthington are there. Now, Professor X, he's really cool. He got Bobby set up with a scholarship, so he can afford it. But, they're both missing the old days of being superheroes with the X-Men, as you do. And then all of a sudden, a hole in space opens up, and a bunch of harpies come out looking for, they say, give us Venus, the goddess of love. And, they get into their superhero bits, go on their attack. Meanwhile, at the same time, who should be applying for a position as a Russian teacher? And here we get the traditional Black Widow outfit, the black leather, although here she's got the skirt, and we actually see that the skirt just flips out and she becomes, that she's wearing her uniform, but it's one of these items where you just have a couple of accessories that turn it into civilian clothes, but it's always there. And here she is with Ivan. This is Ivan. So I guess Ivan died in the last one, so that can't be Ivan Vanko. But it's some other Ivan that she's been friends with, and she's working to get a job as a Russian teacher. But the humanities teacher, well, of course, first they get attacked by Amazons, as you do. And there we go. Victoria Starr is secretly the goddess Venus. She's a humanities teacher at UCLA. And fight. She and Venus escape. Then, of course, Johnny Blaze comes in because, sure, why not? and he has to fight. Apparently, Cerberus is a shapeshifter in this. This is not a good picture of him because he comes off and he looks like your basic Jack Kirby Fourth World kind of character. And then he turns into a dog, but not a three-headed dog. So I really don't know who was doing their research on Cerberus here. And basically, the whole story plays out. Hercules, he's on the lecture circuit, as you do. Because, who wouldn't want a guy to talk about the power of myth who actually is a myth, I remember this was back in when Joseph Campbell was big on the lecture circuit, too. So it makes sense. He gets attacked by the mutates who will one day take over the Earth, they say. Future men of some sort.
I just want to know who would sit for a lecture, probably like an hour or more lecture by Hercules.
Sounds like a plan, Jan.
And, and then we got drunk is what that lecture would be.
Whoa!
But actually he was talking about, okay. There's a little reference in here, where the agent for the lecture circuit is talking about, it has to be better than the last guy I booked, some mop-top New York City artist type who writes books about some barbarian named Ko. Oh, then they get interrupted by the mutates. So I think that is a reference to whoever was working on Conan at the time, which was a Marvel property, for those who don't remember. Anyway, so yada, 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 fight. We get to the very end. And by the way, I love Warren's outfit in this, and that he refuses to wear a mask because he's, I got to tell you, when if you see these pictures of Warren and Bobby next to each other, and you say, in the future, one of these characters will be gay, it's canonically in comics.
Whoa!
Yeah, well, hey, it is Pride Month.
Hey,
I'm just saying, you can't always judge a book by its cover.
Warren is a rich, fancy man, okay?
He is very much a fancy man, and then we see that the real villain of the piece is Pluto, who is marrying Ares and Ares to Venus and Hippolyta to Hercules, because that's their plan. And then we find out in the other one that basically what it is the plan, which I didn't get the chance to finish. The plan was that Pluto has united with the other gods of the dead across many pantheons, and they're, either they're going to all storm on Olympus unless they make this peace. So it gets crazy, and those were the Black Widow books I read, and I enjoyed them. It's a nice look at the character, especially in trying to work through who she is at the beginning, where she is just, another, as you say, Boris and Natasha, femme fatale. But also, I think that it's neat that they very quickly make her the brains of the outfit. And she's always, even when she seems passive, she's very much a protagonist in her passivity, where she is directing where she's going and what's happening in the story. So,
she's a leader.
I like that.
Yeah, she'd be a leader of the Avengers later on. But again, it's not hard to be a leader of a group that has Hercules, Johnny Blaze. Yeah.
I'm a little upset that Venus isn't one of the members of that because, as you know, really loved reading the Venus book.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm waiting for them. I was hoping there was going to be a reference to her time as Venus, if they were going to tie those two together, because canonically, Venus and Aphrodite are two different people now in the Marvel Universe, but at the time, there was this idea that they were the same character. So it's interesting. I'm kind of fascinated to see where this story goes, just because I want to see more of Venus and how it might tie back to that classic 50s Venus.
All right, Lilith, you want to throw something out? You're muted.
We can talk about, we can kind of stay in order, I guess, and we can talk about Avengers issues 31 and 40, where she kind of just turned and becomes a member of the Avengers. But that particular era of the Avengers, if you go all the way back to I guess 29, they were really obsessed with like redeeming people. So you had them redeeming Hawkeye, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and then Black Widow also comes into the fold. So that particular run is very interesting with what they were trying to do. And I like that they did kind of flesh out Black Widow, and like you really like see where they're going, and this lays the foundation for people to be interested, and later on, you know, get to work with, get to be on the Daredevil book and stuff like that. That's where that foundation kind of comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would have been interesting if, you know, when they did that foursome, you know, Captain America, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver, if they had brought in like Black Widow to, you know, be like the fifth, because I mean that was a pretty small Avengers team, 4 people.
Yeah. Although then you've got basically, you know, you've got 3 non-powered humans on the team, and it's like, you know, you can't have that many Batmen.
I guess, but I mean, even with the 4 of them, it's like Hawkeye has no powers, and Steve Rogers, except for that serum, really don't have anything.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you have, you know, here's what I'll say. When it's like 2 normal people and 2 mutants, it seems more even. If you had 3 normal people, then it's going to just seem like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are doing all the work, you know?
I'm just saying we needed another woman in here.
Well, yeah, well, without a doubt, but, you know, one was basically an integrated team back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, and if you keep going from 41 to 50 and include that Avengers Annual #1, you get to see her with the Red Guardian, which is pretty cool, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is her ex, you know.
Which I actually think is going to be interesting from what I hear in the new film. Because there's apparently a bunch of stories with the Red Guardian talking about working with Captain America. And saying that I've heard that he has a lot of moments where he talks about his Captain America stories. You know, so I'm wondering if this Red Guardian is the one played by Hooper from Stranger Things is going to be, the Red Guardian from the 40s who has just been active this whole time.
I also like in the MCU that they kind of like give her that thing to do in Iron Man 2 and also, you know, Captain America 2.
Yeah. Well, you know, she's, you know, and here's what I'll say about her, and this is the thing, you know, I know we're all excited for this movie, but I think if you look at a lot of Natasha's history, she has been best utilized when she was part of a team. I mean, I'm not going to say that all of her solo work is...
I think the Kelly Thompson run was the best Black Widow ever, but whatever.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not going to say they're not good. I'm just going to say... And they're not. They're very good. I'm just going to say I think that some of her best stories are when she's part of a team. I think she works well with a team. I think that... I think they want to make her a lone, you know, BA, like Wolverine, or Daredevil even, but I think really she has her best strengths when she is part of a group, and she has that connection, which, you know, if you want to put humanity onto the character, and you think about this person going through the Red Room, going through whatever, you know, loyalty to the system that she was raised in, that is going to be her normalcy, is being in that group, in that team. Yes, she can go off and do her individual things, but it's coming home to family. That's what's important to her. I
mean, to build off on what you said, I think, for many years, you know, she was written better as a member of a team, but I think some of the more modern stuff, especially when she's written by a woman, by, you know, like Kelly Thompson or even the Devin Grayson stuff, I think, I mean, it gets a lot better there.
That's true. I will not argue with that. That is very much the case. You know, it is certainly something that has its strengths for the character. And to be fair, I loved the very recent Black Widow book we just read, you know, which was, you know, but again, that was an interesting one because yes, it is her being a lone BA, but it is also her working with her teammates. You know, when it comes down to it, that, you know, having that support is helpful. She can do it on her own, and basically the whole plot of it is that she is so dangerous that the only way they could try to stop her was by giving her the perfect life and the perfect memories and just taking away all of her pain. But, like, what was that? I'm forgetting the American version was The Long Kiss Goodnight, but the idea of the person who wakes up and realizes, oh, I'm a spy. That's a powerful story, and always a bad story when that person wakes up and, they realize, oh, you shouldn't have woken me up. You should have let me stay in the dream. Because that's the only way you contain them, the person of that danger level, is within the dream. If you can keep them happy, then maybe they won't come back and kill you all. But
I'd also like to shout out something that I don't think you guys probably read, and if you did, no offense. It's the Killmonger 1-5, where she's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and she is like part of the secret origin of Killmonger. I thought that was like really neat, actually, because it's kind of that subversive trope, like kernels of truth in fiction and how to destabilize a region, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was very interesting, especially because, and like I said, the Black Widow stuff, the modern Black Widow stuff is phenomenal. I wouldn't trade her for anything in the world.
Oh yeah, no.
No, that is true. And and that's sort of why that's why she's on the Avengers. That's why she was the breakout star of the Avengers. That's why Scarlett Johansson has been so beloved. And
if she would have played her cards right and just shut her mouth, she could have been in Elizabeth Olsen's shoes.
Well, it's entirely I'm going to say this. It would be awesome in that alternate universe. And again, this is, even though Scarlett Johansson says yes, now she's done forever.
I mean,
it's forever with her.
She's still, and let's face it, how many times has Sylvester Stallone said, "This is the last Rocky." I can't do this anymore.
And he's still making money off of Creed, so he don't have to get punched in the face no more.
Yeah, but the idea that there'll be more, and there'll be something.
He never said anything about Rambo.
No, he has said this is the last. Heck, the first Rambo was supposed to be the last Rambo. The first Rocky was supposed to be the last Rocky. They were always meant to be these perfectly self-contained stories until someone pulled up the money truck. And that's when things got interesting.
I think after a decade, they just need a break sometimes, I think.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, the thing is that after a while, it's nice to have the money that you made off of these things and to pursue your own artistic things. But after a while, you miss what you had being the young hot star. You miss being the very wealthy from all the money and the very popular character that you once were. And so you go, well, maybe for a little thing we'll come back, we'll do something for the fans, because we love the fans.
Are you speaking from experience being the young hot movie star?
Well, I will redo any character that anyone has liked me in over the years, and there are so many. I will become the dog catcher again if people demand it. It's a short I did.
Hey, Marvel, he'll play Red Skull for cheap. I mean, he's already played a Nazi.
I think I'd do a great. I think I'd do I'd want to do the communist Red Skull, because I think that's the more interesting character, the one who adopts the imagery of the Red Skull, which I think is a nice thing that Ta-Nehisi Coates did with the Lucan Red Skull story, where he's weaving it in. It's all very interesting.
All right, Phil, you're at bat.
All right, I got a few here, so maybe I'll go in chronological order. First up, I read...
Better be Daredevil.
No, I did read a Daredevil. I was going to do honorable mention, Daredevil 103 with Daredevil, Black Widow, and Spider-Man against Ramrod. But no, No, Amazing Spider-Man 86. When she gets, this is when she adopts the more familiar costume everyone knows, and she wants to learn the secrets of Spider-Man because she's like,
well, she is a redhead.
Hey-oh! And of course, oh my lord! And then he's like feeling all horrible the whole issue because he got in a fight with the Kingpin last issue, and he's like, "Oh, am I losing my powers?" I'm thinking, why don't you think of concussion? You had a concussion first, if the Kingpin was slapping you around and said he's like, I might lose my powers.
Psychosomatic, bro.
Exactly. He is such a fancy man.
Well, hey, he is a person who believes with great power comes great responsibility, and all he wants is to not have responsibility anymore.
Mm-hmm. So she like confronts him to like try to learn, what his powers are and stuff. At first she's like, he doesn't have any powers because he's like, half-assing it and stuff. And then he does come after her and just...
Hello, fellow arachnid-themed person in New York.
So, do they have her sticking to walls in this one?
I believe so.
Because that was a weird thing for me with Black Widow. Is every so often they would just draw her, and it was kind of, I guess it was almost supposed to be like she's running up the wall, but it just like when it's a static medium like comics, it looked like, oh, look at her sticking to the wall. But it always just seemed like, I think they're just really playing into that spider theme here.
Yeah.
And they kind of want her to have spider powers, but they haven't figured out how to give her spider powers.
Well, this is
the weird thing that they never mention anymore about Black Widow is her skill as a hypnotist. I miss that. Speaking of weird, wacky powers we never see anymore.
But yeah, this one, she was just like, she was doing the new thing. She has the wrist blasters and stuff, and she says, like, the belt's kind of like her, she doesn't use this term, but utility belt. So she has a widow line. I know that. So I don't know if half the time she's on the wall, if she's hanging on a line or something. Or
the problem with hypnotism is...
It's an evil power.
Well, it is an evil power. But
it doesn't work on everybody.
Actually, what I was going to say is, you had to be so committed to your Silver Age roots as a supervillain. Because, like, Doom will hypnotize you like that. Because I will do
Doom's a hipster, first of all, so of course he's into that.
Yeah, Doom can pull it off. Like, when Doom says, oh, I use my superpowers of hypnosis to switch bodies with you or to control you. I use my... Faustus can do it, but that's like his only shtick. And you see that they use Faustus very sparingly. But yeah, I would love to see, who wouldn't love to see Black Widow use that power more? I will bet you we see it in the new movie. And
is it true hypnotism, or is she just wearing low-cut tops in front of guys like Tony Stark?
Well, as
you said tomato, I say tomato, buddy.
In that case, Lil Hellfire is the master of hypnotism.
The trick of hypnotism is to get someone off their game, off board, and you relax and suggestible, and some people are very suggestible.
Subscribe to the Patreon.
Yes. Hey,
what else you got, buddy?
I did, like I said, there was some honorable mentions.
You were talking up the Marvel fanfares.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
Yeah,
great place to start, actually.
Yeah, Marvel fanfare, what was that?
1 through 10?
No, 10 through 13.
Okay.
Yeah, she gets sent on a mission. The Ivan, who found her as a child, Charlie Esser, and kind of took her in as like a father figure, older brother. Yeah, he gets kidnapped, and S.H.I.E.L.D. sends her.
Those boobs scare me.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's their power. She doesn't even need a boob window. If she has to shield them, otherwise the radiance of the boob window would have just blinded everyone.
Well, I cannot tell you how many. At least one. There's 4 issues, and at least once per issue, she's like putting on the costume, and you get like some side boob or something. So at least once an issue. And then in the last issue...
Talk about your Marvel fanfare, am I right, boys?
And then in the last issue, to get out of like a pit, she has to take most of her costume and make like a rope to get out. So yeah, she's basically got the, Savage Land rogue look by the end of the issue, so...
As well you do.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. And like I told you, Charlie, as her last 2 issues, Jimmy Woo shows up, so...
Now, was it young Jimmy Woo or old Jimmy Woo?
I guess he seemed pretty young here, but this was like 1983, so...
Okay. I don't know when he had his age regression.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he didn't seem old to me, so.
Yeah, well, I think he got old in the early aughts and then got re-youthified. Because he is a guy from the 50s, so I don't know. Jimmy Woo, he's an interesting character.
But yeah, anybody...
Because he's originally a character from the 50s.
Yeah. But yeah, anybody who wants to, like, catch up on some comic book Black Widow, the first issue, man, like, S.H.I.E.L.D's going over, like, her history. So, I mean, they give you the origin, they tell you, like, her appearances, you know, like when she, you know, hooked up with Hawkeye and tried to steal Tony Stark's secrets. Then
this is the run by George Perez and the art by Ralph Macchio, right?
The other way around, I think, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. I loved him in The Karate Kid, by the way.
I'm sure he never gets tired. Well, he never got tired of that.
Yeah. It's funny because they can use the same name because they're in two different industries. But if Ralph Macchio ever actually got into acting,
you have to use his middle initial or vice versa.
If Ralph Macchio wanted to write comic books, he couldn't be Ralph Macchio as a comic book writer. He would have to be Ralph something else Macchio.
But yeah, I mean, for the time, it was a good, you know, it was a story of its time. It was really good. Again, it kind of catches you up on Black Widow up to that point, and again, you get characters like Nick Fury, Jimmy Woo. There's a whole bunch of villains in here. Like, I always wondered where they came from, like Iron Maiden and Snapdragon and stuff, who showed up later in Grunwald's Captain America. Here, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's how it goes, you know? Someone does something obscure and weird, and then someone else, years later, brings it back up again, you know?
Yeah, there's a group of, like, 6, like, villainous fighters she has to go up against. One's, like, a sumo wrestler. Yeah, it's, like, the two, you know, Iron Maiden, who's, like, another Russian or something, and Snapdragon, and I forget, who else was there? It's just a mixed group of, international villains.
Well, that's where you get them, you know.
And the main mastermind is Damon Dran, who her and Daredevil ran up against. But then, you know, his plans backfired. I guess, I've seen him here and there, but I guess he's like, his thing turned him into immortal, but he's like all emaciated and stuff. So
he's immortal or mortal?
I think it turns him immortal, but it puts him in emaciated form. Yeah.
So he's like a skeleton warrior.
Almost.
Yeah.
Are you going to mention the Thunderbolt stuff, Philip?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, Lil Hellfire. Would you like to mention that?
I think Thunderbolts is your thing.
Well, I know those first couple issues, Charlie, she remember she would drop by every so often and be like, I have my eye on you people.
Okay. Yes. So the original Thunder. Yeah. I don't know because, she always struck me as one of those kinds of people that would have worked with Osborn. So it wouldn't have surprised me if she was in when Osborn was running the Thunderbolts, working as a liaison there.
Yeah, no, they were playing her as like the last Avenger because, the Avengers disappeared in Onslaught and she was just like...
Yeah, she didn't make the cut.
And then they kind of bring her back to like Secret Avengers with the whole Cap thing, so yeah.
Yeah, I loved her in Secret Avengers. Again, another book where I really think she shined in that leadership role of a team. I think, I actually really kind of enjoyed her interactions with, what's his name? Now he goes by now he's a sentient LMD Black Ant, but I forget what he was. He was calling himself O'Grady Ant-Man. I actually liked their interactions, because they were kind of silly in their, creepiness. So if you like that creepy, silly stories, that's an interesting thing. Of course, like anybody who has jokes made about him, eventually it gets to be,
And I'm surprised Charlie didn't bring up Ends of the Earth because that's Natasha and Doc Ock.
Oh, that Spider-Man story. Yeah, I don't know if you read it. It was like
I did not even know it existed up until this moment.
It's Amazing Spider-Man. It's one of the last stories before Superior Spider-Man. So I think it might be check Amazing Spider-Man. It might be in the 680s, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it a look. I love my Otto.
Oh yeah, there's a big plot by Otto. So yeah.
Although it's and I guess it's probably going to have a lot of what I like about Otto if it's just before Superior, because that's my Otto. It's my Superior Otto. I don't know if I feel a lot of the earlier versions of Otto. Although White Suit Otto, obviously, what's not to love, you know?
Oh no, he's dying, and he has this whole plot where he's trying to convince the world he's trying to save the world, you know. So he's scheming. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, and Otto, he's always, you know, he needs to learn humility. That's his problem, you know. But he can't because he's a supervillain. He's a narcissist, which is, of course, why Loki fell in love with Sylvie. Yeah, a version of himself.
Himself, yes. But like I mentioned before, the 3-issue Black Widow series from 1999, the Marvel Knights one by Devin Grayson, and it's also the series that introduced Elena Belova.
Belova,
yes, the blonde Black Widow, yes.
Who was very young, as I recall, in this series.
Well, I know she's younger than Natasha, because he kept calling her like old lady and like old woman or old lady.
Yeah,
it's like, almost like she's supposed to be Grey Widow by now. If you get that reference, leave a link, leave a like.
You know, one thing I kind of wanted to do for this was actually look at Clairvoyant, who was the original Black Widow from the 40s, who was the one with the powers of Satan to kill people.
This is about the Black
she came
Widow,
back in the 12,
Lilith,
so
okay.
She was Clairvoyant was kind of cool. So, and I know that. And the other thing I was thinking is that actually the canonical first Russian Black Widow was, of course, Blind Al.
Oh yeah.
For those who remember that she was the Black Widow who first met a young Steve Rogers out in the battlefield.
Blind Al took Steve Rogers' virginity.
Well, and also shout out to Agent Carter who did Dottie Underwood as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, and then of course she had Dottie Underwood. Our MCU first Black Widow, that would have been lovely. You know, if any of that exists anymore in the MCU, we don't know.
Well, we've got multiverses, so it all exists, it all matters. Just to what extent, we don't know.
It matters, just maybe not in the way you think.
So is Florence Pugh in that movie supposed to be Yelena and like taking over as the new Black Widow? Is that what they're going to be doing?
Well,
for the show where she meets up with Kate Bishop, right?
Oh, does she?
Oh,
does she?
I mean, that's what the buzz around town is.
Oh, I could
about the Hawkeye show.
I did hear that rumor. Oh, yeah, maybe.
No, it's not even a rumor. I think we saw them on set together.
Okay.
Is what it is.
Well, that makes sense because if something happens, maybe Natasha's like, if something happens to me, go to Clint Barton.
Go to Hawkeye, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Hawkeye's, oh no, I already got a teen sidekick. I already got a teen girl sidekick. Sorry, guy.
I'm not Wolverine. I can't have all these little girls following me around.
Yeah, like, dude, I'm an old man and I'm not into young girls. I'm sorry.
I'm a married man.
It's like you wouldn't even like archery. It's boring.
Well, no, but then maybe she's like this new Hawkeye's new Black Widow, and then that's like.
Oh, they're going to go to...
Best friends forever, power of friendship.
Oh, they're going to go to Budapest together.
Oh. They could just be gals being pals.
Well, that's what I assumed. That's what I intended. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, Lilith, that's a weird thing.
Not everything has to be sexual. Some people actually just have great friendships.
Not this fandom.
Well, that's all
there's styles of representation, though, so I get it.
You know, and here's going to tell you something. Here's a crazy idea. Gay and bisexual women can have non-sexual female friends.
Tell that to the writers. They only do it for exploitative purposes, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And then they kill them.
Okay, here's the scene we need in Hawkeye. Yeah, she comes to Clint Barton get trained. Then someone's like, no, you don't want to come here. Yeah, go see Sam Wilson. Yeah, make a detour. Yeah.
No.
I did also want to shout out Lauren Bailey, who does is the most prominent voice actress for Black Widow in the animated stuff that Marvel does that nobody ever talks about.
Yeah, when's the last time we got some animated Marvel, like a movie or anything?
Well, there's a couple of well, like the TV shows and stuff too.
Well, yeah, Disney did. Yeah, they've been
actually, she's in a lot of animated Marvel stuff.
Yeah, she did the Lego Black Panther one, Trouble in Wakanda. She did that Spider-Man episode, Spider Island. Yeah, she did the Avengers Reassembled. Yeah, she's like the most prominent voice actress for Black Widow in the Marvel animated stuff. So.
Oh yeah, she's the one.
Did she do Earth's Mightiest Heroes too? Or
I don't think that was her. Let me double check.
But yeah,
no, that wasn't her.
This is the one I'm thinking about. Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
She did do Avengers Assemble though.
Okay, well that's good. I like Avengers Assemble too. I mean, I have actually liked a lot of what Marvel has done in their cartoon universes.
It's the art style for me, but the stories are pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't worry about art. I never worry about art. I worry about story. You can give me chibis, and I'll be like, but do I know what the chibis are doing, and do I care? Just like,
I don't know. I tried with that last Spider-Man series. Then I saw the name Dan Slott on it. And I was like,
Philip, we don't talk about the slot like that. Not in public.
I mean,
that is BTS.
Here's what I'll say. Almost every bad writer I know, there's something that they've done that I've loved.
And I'm not saying
every bad writer has at least one good story that I'll say, you know what, they really hit their mark there.
I'm not saying he's a bad writer. There's just some choices I don't like that he makes.
Oh yeah, no, there's lots of choices he's made that I really hate, but every so often he does stuff I really like.
It's fantastic. I think we've been enjoying his Fantastic Four, right?
Oh, okay. Charlie might know this trivia. Do you know about the 1975 live-action series that was supposed to be made starring Angie Bowie? And then we had Ben Carruthers as Daredevil.
Oh, you mean the Black Widow one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I know about that. Who was the... It was... I mean, I can't remember who... I know that someone bought the rights.
Lionsgate tried to make a movie way back in the early 2000s, but this is like the 70s TV show, and I'm just in the Hulk universe then, technically, or what?
Well, I mean, they could have... So here's the interesting thing about the McGee-averse, as I call it. The McGee-averse actually does have a character that was originally, in the Death of the Incredible Hulk, the Russian spy who seduces... Bill Bixby's David Banner in that was actually supposed to be possibly a Black Widow Natasha Romanoff character, but in the end they just decided, you know what, we don't need to pay for the extra character for this, so we're just going to just have her be a generic Russian spy. In the 70s, and like I said, I don't know exactly who it was. I mean, I don't know who you said it was, but...
Angie Bowie, David Bowie's, first ex-wife.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was someone like that. But they were some sexy lady, and they got the rights. Because, for those who don't remember, in the 70s, Marvel was very big.
Fast and loose, man. Fast and loose.
Well, no, but I mean, among the rock star intelligentsia, they all loved Marvel Comics.
Excelsior!
Exactly. That guy really knew how to sell it to the kids. And the kids loved it, including the, 20-something guys who played guitar who wanted to sound like they were smart for reading comic books. And
why did your eye drift over to my box?
And, yeah, but she had produced a bunch of images and... I don't know how far it ever got, but the idea is that they really were pushing that she wanted to be the Black Widow in this. Why it never got anywhere? Probably because maybe she wasn't a great actress.
Well, no studio would take the project on. I think it's specifically because who she was. So, for insurance purposes, they were still really strict back in the 70s about taking risks and stuff with unknown actors and actresses, especially if you have a certain lifestyle that they don't approve of, things like that. So I think that's honestly why it never got out of production house.
Probably that makes absolute sense to me. I mean, the biggest problem, and to be fair, you have this problem when you want to say, I want to make a comic book story, but make it kind of adult-oriented.
Yeah, they were definitely about a general audience back then.
Oh, yeah, they played fast
but I
to
be fair,
material.
things like The Incredible Hulk, things like Red Brown's Captain America, which is now available on Tubi. Yes. So happy. As well as
it's cool to like Tubi now, guys. But we were in on the trend before it was cool.
Yes,
just saying.
But they also have Cleopatra 2525.
Shut the front door! Really, I'm gonna have to put it back on my Fire TV.
Yeah, I mean, I know you don't like commercials, sweetheart, but they actually don't do as many as you think.
Don't they have the premium tier yet? I heard that was coming. So.
Oh, I don't. If they do, I don't know. They haven't asked me to subscribe to it yet. So that's what.
I saw that in the newsletter. So I'm just waiting on that.
Okay. Well, if they ever go there, that's cool. But for right now, you can get Cleopatra 2525 up there too, and that is a series that holds up.
Tubi sponsor us. Just go ahead, sponsor us.
Yeah, they need advertising. I don't see or hear them advertised a lot. So come on.
No, because they go under the radar because they know that there are.
They've actually been on TikTok trying to get to the kids, and the big thing has been like Dawson's Creek and stuff like that. So it's kind of like my age range that they're kind of trying to reach out to, but they have a lot of great stuff for like your guys' age range too.
Oh yeah,
as Charlie well knows.
And they have stuff even older, which I also like because I like old stuff. I liked old stuff when I was young, so it's good. You ever watch the Goldberg's TV series with the ads for Folgers coffee, where they take the caffeine out, and it is so good. It is arguably better than the current Goldberg's, if you don't mind Yiddish comedy. You got to be down for Yiddish comedy. If you're down for Yiddish comedy, it's enjoyable. But, some people, they get very uncomfortable with it.
Oh. But yeah, Black Widow's been featured in a lot of stuff like video games and stuff too that not so well done. The Marvel video games outside of the Spider-Man video games that just recently come out are garbage. Look at you first, Punisher.
To be fair, most video games didn't have real stories until recently.
I don't need the story, like the graphics, the licensing issues. Just stop it.
No, she was fine in Marvel vs. Capcom. Was she in Marvel vs. Capcom? I think she was.
Marvel vs. Capcom was like a whole actual merchandising franchise kind of thing. Which is why that whole thing looks better than most things. But
I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom, that is my
It's
favorite.
iconic. Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, that is... I could play that all day. And the little clips they give, the Captain America bits, she's throwing the shields, those are fun. You can play the Hulk, and for some reason, Mephisto's kid. I don't know I don't know what devil he made a deal with. But Blackthorn is one of the playable characters in it. It's Blackthorn, right? Mephisto's kid. Blackheart, yeah. And I'm like,
Lilith,
who the heck is Blackheart? Why is he on Marvel's side?
Oh, do you guys know about the podcast? The Old Man Logan one where Grey Riddle shows up and it's Susan Sarandon or whatever? I think that's pretty neat.
I've heard of it. I haven't listened to it yet.
It's on Sirius. You have it.
Yeah,
Phil.
I know. That's what we were talking about the other day. I was
I
have this on Sirius. Yeah.
The Old Man Logan one. Yeah, she shows up.
Yeah, I got to.
Oh, I didn't know they did an Old Man Logan.
No, it's Old Man Star-Lord, I think. No.
Oh, Star-Lord.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Old Man Star-Lord. Okay, yes.
That's Marvel's Wastelanders, technically, or whatever.
yeah, and it's all of the... It's... I actually read Old Man Star-Lord. It's a really good book. I hope it's as good as a podcast. I don't know. Or is it audio play? Because it's not really a podcast, because now it's an audio play.
Yeah, it's a serial audio.
And also,
drama.
no one actually uses iPods anymore. So,
well, that's what an iPhone is. It's a glorified... No offense, Philip. It's a glorified iPod that makes phone calls.
I know, but that's one of these things. It's like, why is it called a podcast? It's like, so first off, you have to explain what broadcast was. They have to explain what an iPod was. And then it's like, and that's why it's called podcasting.
Why are you calling me old? I'm younger than Charlie Esser. I'm younger than...
No, I just said iPhone. iPod is a glorified iPhone's a glorified iPod. You're the only one that uses Apple on this on this team. So
yes, I refuse to use Apple. Do you guys want to talk any comic books before we leave, or are we just going to let that go? Because I did read 2 before everything before we got here. 2 non-Black Widow comic books.
I was going to say I wasn't planning on it, but yeah, did everybody read this week's Black Widow? I mean, that would be.
Yeah, I did. We could talk.
Actually, no, I didn't.
Oh.
But no, I just like that talk she had where she's like, I hate that they gave me that family and stuff, but they gave me happiness, which kind of but then it's like they gave me a tragedy, but they also gave me I hate them too because it was my enemies who gave me this happiness too. I thought that was really interesting.
I can't believe it's at issue 8 already. Time has really been flying. And shout out to Elena Casagrande, who does the artwork on this book.
Oh, yeah,
it is so absolutely stunning.
Yeah, the art's
beautiful. I think I want all the covers with I want the variant without anything on it, just so I can make posters out of them. They're so good.
Oh yeah, story and art is so. Yeah, I mean it shouldn't even be. Yeah, they should have another issue or two out because I think they took
and it's super fast paced too. Yeah.
That's what I said. It's like a movie. It's like an action movie.
Well, that's where the Black Widow books, especially the modern Black Widow books, really kind of come into their own, and it's like the female James Bond in the best way possible without the convoluted backstory.
And this is why I guarantee you this is not the last Black Widow film. Whether or not they're going to expand Yelena and here's the thing, I will guarantee you there's always going to be this question when you're watching Yelena in the future Black Widow films, is there someone else out there? Because from Yelena's perspective, if we just to theorize about this, she doesn't necessarily know what happened to Black Widow when she didn't come back from Endgame. In fact, from her perspective, it's probably her assumption that she just died, or that everyone thinks she's dead, but that that's not the first time she's been dead, as they say. We Yellowbeards are never more dangerous than when we're dead.
I don't want to sound like a misandrist or anything, but I just really feel like when Black Widow specifically is written by a woman, that dialogue just sings. It's just a breath of fresh air, that dialogue. It's not like convoluted, corny, forced. I just really feel like the artist and the writer are very in sync, and that's just something that doesn't happen all the time. And this book is just chef's kiss. I'm really enjoying it. I can't recommend it enough.
Oh yeah, unless I'm not reading the right things. Anyone I've talked to or anything I've read, I've never seen any complaints about this book.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Oh yeah,
I wish I'd read this. Had I thought about that, I probably would have read it. I was reading my old books and things like, but what if someone wants to talk to books that came out this week? And then I should have known better because.
So
I was just all proud because I read an Archie book and I was hoping.
Mighty Crusaders?
Of course, Mighty Crusaders.
If you want to
save it for next week. Just remind me.
The Shield, #1. And I also, of course, read United States of Captain America, #1.
I did read that, yes.
It's a good book.
It
you
is.
should read it, kids.
It's July. Pick up a Captain America book. Be patriotic.
Yes. But it's like, I got The Shield and Captain America. So those are two nice little stories to tell before we go for this July 1st holiday. Happy Canada Day, everyone.
Happy Rob.
Get out.
Happy Rob Southgate Day, everyone.
America! Party of the USA! I cannot wait.
Oh, yes. All hail Master Doom. It is his birthday.
That's right. All loyal citizens of the Southgate Media Group. Hail your monarch.
We do hail. Hail, the gang's all here.
In his Southgate bots. All right, so yes, next week we're going to be doing our Black Widow movie review, hopefully with some of our friends. So we're going to do that Sunday that weekend. So if you want to see the movie Friday, Saturday, or early enough Sunday, send us your thoughts on that. Hey, send us your favorite Black Widow comics. There's something we didn't mention you liked. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow Capes and Lunatics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Find links to all of the various social medias for all of our shows. Links to this YouTube channel where you can see some of the visual aids I put up tonight. Links to the Patreon, more and more coming there. Links to merch.
Stay hydrated.
That's right. All in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And please remember to support the Southgate Media Group at southgatemediagroup.com. Go subscribe to the Southgate Media Group Patreon. There's lots of free content there. There's even better paid content. So do that. And of course, if you really want to make Master Doom's birthday special, go pick up Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback. Learn all about the journey of podcasters. And you can pick that up on Amazon. When you do, use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that eternally young man, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom.
Please kick me in the pants. Mark my words.
You know, now that I think about it, it's been like 7-8 years since I've known Robin. He hasn't aged. Maybe he does have a painting in his basement.
I don't know. I don't know what his secret is. Dark magic. I don't know. Coffee.
He's just one of those guys.
That's not coffee. That's not coffee he's drinking. He's embalmed. Lilith Hellfire.
If you nerds want to hang out with me on the interwebs, find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire, on Instagram at Lilith Hellfire69, and of course on TikTok at Lilith Hellfire69.
Am I supposed to get my medicine soon?
I'm thirsty. Water, Phil.
What?
It's just water.
Sure. Clear liquid, sure. All right, Charlie Esser.
Mine is not water. Well, it's actually mostly water. It's like 95% water, 92% water, 90% water. But anyway, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, where mothers and fathers long ago once did, do so at superconnectivityblog at gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter when I live tweet things when I feel like it, and I remember to, and I often don't, at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE ESSER. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz, and thank you, Tristan, if you heard him in the background there.
Yes. Sounds like a plan. Have a good night.
We love you, Maz.
Yay, Maz. Hey, if you talk to Mozzie beforehand, tell him if he sees Black Widow, he's more than welcome to join us next week.
I will remind him.
The next episode. Yes. Miss talking to the Moz. Hear him talking to you, I hear him talking to DJ Nick. Maybe get him back over here. Alright, kids. For another week, we have been your capes.
Ampersand!
And you're muted, Lilith Hellfire.
You were...
Lunatics! Whatever.
There we go.
You gotta subscribe to YouTube and see the Lunatics.
That's okay.
Is this the last you'll see of us? Yet.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.